Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that in cinema, a making of, also known as a behind the scenes, is a documentary film that features the production of a film or television program? This is often referred to as the EPK, also known as Electronic Press Kit, video, due to its main usage as a promotional tool either concurrent with the theatrical release or as a bonus feature for the film's DVD or Blu-ray release. Thank you, Wikipedia. I did not know this. The first official documentary or nonfiction narrative film, as we would like to call them, was Robert Flaherty's Nanook of the North from 1922.
Oh, wow. I've actually seen that movie.
It's an ethnographic look at the harsh life of Canadian Inuit Eskimos living in the Arctic. Some of the film parts of the film were basically recreated because there were some obsolete customs that they were trying to show. Thank you, filmsite.org, for that little tidbit of information. Well, why do I bring this up? Because we're going to go a little behind the scenes, I believe, in this minute.
That's right. We're gonna sort of break down the wall here in one episode, in minute 119 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, directed by Jon Favreau. 118 was fine. We had some fun. There had a couple names that we wanted to talk about, but as the thing goes on, it's just names, just this nonstop barrage of names, and then now they've split it into multiple columns. There's just too much to do. So I sort of thought, let's pause for a second. Since we're seeing all the people who were responsible for the movie we just watched, why don't we take a minute and go behind the scenes of our show?
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, let's get a little bit meta. Let's talk a little bit about how we put together Marvel Movie Minute Season 3.
You mean we just don't watch the minute and then talk?
Well, if you want to put on the minute behind and have the names rolling by, that's fine. But I don't think we need to.
No, I was wondering if anybody just thinks, you guys are knuckleheads. You guys just watch the minute and then you spew stuff out of your mouths. No. Let us tell you what we do.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go as detailed as I can think of as we do this. So obviously, we did not create Marvel Movie Minute. We are hired as hosts, essentially. Hired even though it's there's no money changing hands. But we are.
There is love.
Yes. So the show exists, and we are sort of brought onto it in the way that the Tonight Show continues on. As hosts change, it's still the Tonight Show.
Well, though, I would just say, though, that in the Tonight Show there is money. Money does exchange hands.
Money does change hands, that's true. But I'm in terms of the format of the show, we did not come up with the format of the show. We did not come up with the stuff. We just are the current stewards of
You are correct.
Right.
You are correct.
So they did Marvel Movie Season 1. And like I say, I know that those of you who listened to Season 2 know some of the stuff, so I'm going to go through this stuff very fast. But the thing is, Rob and I were already podcasting. We were doing other stuff. We had done Road to Infinity, which was the podcast I created that was about watching a Marvel Movie Minute a week in anticipation of Infinity War. So every week I would do a deep dive with different people, and I brought Rob on, and turns out that we really enjoy doing podcasts together, and people seem to enjoy it. So from that, then Rob and I started doing Time for 13, which is a Doctor Who based podcast, which is we looked at seasons worth of a Doctor. So we watch an entire season and then talk about that too. So that actually is still available. So if you go and search for Time for 13, you can see Rob and I learning how to podcast. So we had finished at that point, or actually we ran out of Doctor Who episodes because they went on hiatus and we were sort of done at the time that they were having scheduling problems for season 2 of this show of Marvel Movie Minute. And so we sort of had known some of the Next Real guys, and we got into a conversation, and so they brought us on to do the hostings of it. And from that point, we inherited a bunch of the format that they had created, and then we sort of mixed and matched and did some stuff around. So let's talk about that. So what happens before you ever listen to the show? Well, a lot of preparation. So I would say for every minute, I'm probably doing maybe an hour's worth of research. I do it, I don't have a time I can just sit down and do all of it. So I go through and I watch the minute, because the nice thing about it is our own Pete Wright, one of the founders of The Next Reel, took Iron Man 2 and ran it through a special bot thing he had created, and it carved it up in 2 minutes. So every 60 seconds, shoop, it would create another video file, and he put those on a private server that only we have access to. So we're not sharing it with anybody. So any of the copyright lawyers out there, so Marvel, we're not sharing with anybody. It's just we just use it for this very context where we're doing free advertising for you. So please don't sue the next reel.
Start with Eric Voss if you're going to sue people. Go to New Rock Stars. Go to the. I'm kidding. I love you guys.
Wow.
But I'm just saying.
Rock Stars under the tree.
Or go to Screen Crush or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
take down those guys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Woo. So we watch them, and so then we can actually have it. We don't have to worry about running up our time codes. Like Yulia has it from like 00 to 60, and so we can go through. We can pause it and watch each of those things, and then go through and then basically watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it. And every time something comes up, think like, oh, okay, there's something I can talk about. And pause and then go and like see like what is that wrench that he's holding? What is that car that he's driving? All these things to try and find that kind of trivia information, and then obviously thematically, where are we at, like who else is in the scene, what else, costuming, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, there's like I said, Rob and I are not music guys, so we don't really talk about motifs and that kind of stuff just because that's not in our wheelhouse. So it's always and Rob and I also do this entirely independently.
Always.
Yes,
all the time.
The first time that either of us are hearing these things are during the recording. Like you hear it. Because, like, I have no idea what Rob's intro is going to be for every episode. He has no idea what weird facts I've discovered or what strange tangent we're going to go on to talk about Miffy or or strange times in Atlanta. Like, all these things. It's always fresh. So, I am not a good fake laugher. So, when I'm laughing, it is legitimate because Rob has said something that makes me legitimately laugh.
It's
so
sincere.
I'm not, ha ha, that's so funny.
Yeah.
You got me again, big guy. No, not at all.
Wait, now you should do that every once in a while. That would be really
Just
funny.
so people know.
Just so people know. Well, and look, and that's part of, I think, if you wonder how do you get this like rapport and stuff, we've been doing this for a long time, as you said.
Yes.
Two, there is a tremendous amount of research. Like, I mean, you talked a little bit about your process.
Yeah.
My process is, and I even have a list of stuff I do. So when I watch the minute, I'll watch the minute like 2 or 3 times first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then usually by that second or third time, I've pulled my open. So, like if everybody wonders like, well, how do you come up with these ridiculous things? No, usually within that first 2 or 3 times viewing the minute, I just, my mind or my memories have latched onto something and I go, oh, that's the pull that I'm going to use for the opening of the show. And then I go do a ridiculous deep dive research on that and I get that. But then I actually do watch the minute. There's 5 times I watch it. And what I do is I watch it for 5 separate passes. Visuals, dialogue, props, CGI, or film techniques, the connection of what it is done before what we've seen and what it'll mean moving forward,
right.
And then 5 meanings and inspirations. Oh. So a lot of the times in our discussions, those notes, and like I will say, like it's taken, like sometimes I think I spend entirely too much time probably, like, but it's this is what we got to do. Because I think it's important for us, and this is the take we've done for the show. Like you said, we haven't spent all the time on musical cues, right, or things like that.
Yeah,
we've taken a time on the visual stuff that we love or we notice.
Yep.
We really take time on the dialogue and what it means or how it relates. And I really do love when you really go far beyond what I'm sure the filmmakers intended on meaning, well, innuendo, and great aspirations to the spiritual meaning of life. Like, that's kind of the stuff I love because that's why I like these movies. That's what I love about the storytelling of what Marvel Studios has done. There we go.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously we focus a lot about actors and the decisions they made. That's one of the things that we sort of zoom in on. So we've done all that on there. Like I have a bunch of, I have the transcript of the movie. So I have that. So like I can whenever we would go through, I would pull the actual dialogue. I'd find what the first line and the last line and copy and paste that. So I have that in front of me. So in my notes, I have every line that is said. So when I'm going out there, that's actually that someone has gone through and done that. So like, once again, we are indebted to all of the hardworking nerds who have put all this stuff on the internet. All we're doing is taking a bunch of this stuff and presenting it to you. Like they have done the hard work. We're just sort of like doing a presentation of the razzle dazzle off of the hard work that they have done.
Absolutely, and thank you to everybody. And I know we try diligently to annotate all that when we're talking about it. Like our sources because we realize that. I mean, thank God for wikis, because seriously, a lot of this stuff, and it comes from other places, not just the Marvel MCU wiki or comic book wikis.
Right. My only MCU would be nothing without Marvel Cinematic Universe.fandom.com. I'm on that all the time, and I need to go back now that new movies have come out to find out how they've integrated them into the timeline, where stuff fits in. Now that there's more information to go, they're keeping that up. So I think it's a team of people who do that. So we use them all the time to keep straight what is happening, especially since we're in Iron Man 2 and it's corresponding with two other movies happening at the same time. Right. Plus whatever else the behind the scenes there. Okay, so the intro was originally written by our own Andy. And then I rewrote it for Hulk, and then I rewrote it for Iron Man 2, so that is the first thing that comes up there. And so when I introduce myself, I don't introduce myself as the host of this show, I introduce myself as another show. Why? Well, two reasons. First of all, we are hosts for a show that we were brought in on. So this is not my show. I'm very proud of it. I work very hard at it, but I know that I am one of the two current stewards of this show.
Correct.
But as there was someone before, there might be someone after. I mean, it is a legacy thing. So I want to establish the fact that I have my own show, and that is an audio drama podcast that I write and direct. So that is obviously doesn't necessarily correspond to a lot of stuff, but that is my show that I 100% own. So I always want to have that out there, and for the second reason, that I want other people to listen to it. So if you like audio drama podcasts, go listen to that show too. I always want to put that out there as this is the other thing that I'm doing. It's while I have the Marvel fandom side, I also have a creative side where I like to write and create my own things, and that is one of the things that I like to write and create. So that is why I do that. And then I go say my name. Rob says his. I scout and I say, yes, sir. Why do I say yes, sir? Well, that's interesting. This is how minute we're going to get in this behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Why do I say yes, sir? I say yes, sir, because of Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, when he would do all his Q&As, and I used to watch his Q&As obsessively, always talked to people as sir and ma'am, and he talked about how it was a term of respect. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting because it's very formal. I don't know that I would do that with everybody out in the world because I know a lot of people wouldn't necessarily identify as sir or ma'am. But I really liked that idea of it's a term of respect for the person that you're talking to. So when Rob says, my name, I say yes, sir, back, and that is why.
I don't think I totally knew the backstory of that, but that is very nice and polite of you.
Right. Well, see, this is what you get in the behind the scenes episode. So
okay. So wait, let me go a little deeper then. Which I think is funny is that has become now the trademark, right? So that's always how we do it. I don't reference anything I've done, and not because the only reason is I always wanted to get right into the
the intro.
Here's me. I'm an idiot savant, minus the savant. Let's go into what connects, right? Yeah. So I've just made it a habit of just going into that, and then we somewhere along season 2, you did the whole yes sir, and then I know, and then oh God, what's coming?
Yeah,
what is next?
And I just sit back and go, okay, what's about to come at me?
That's pretty funny, and that's important. I can't say enough how not comparing notes beforehand is important. If you go to any of the great pair shows, I think this goes all the way back to Regis and Kathy Lee. They used to talk about this. For those of you who remember Regis and Kathy Lee, they came off on the show as great friends, and we are actually great friends. We do a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, and but when we're not doing the show, when we're together, we have to not talk about Marvel stuff because we have to save it for the show. We'll start to get off on a tangent and go, oh wait, we have to save this.
Yeah, no, and we'll stop each other because we're like, no, don't talk about that. Wait, because not only are you going to save it, because each of us want to have the fresh reaction to what the other person is saying, and that's what they used to do. They used to famously talk about how they would never talk before the show, the tapings began, because they wanted it to be real, and that's what I think we try to do.
Yeah. So then we basically everything that happens in the middle, the meat of the show, is all totally random. We both have our notes of what we're going to talk about. We know how the minute flows, and we have no idea where it's going to go. And that's what makes the show exciting for us.
Right? Oh, totally.
Because we're just about to let loose and where's this conversation going to go? What weird stories of our history are going to come up? What bizarre obsession fandom that we have that you never knew you were going to talk about? That's what makes the show always exciting to do. How much fun it is, because you never know what thing is going to take you off on a tangent and do that. So what weird 80s television show we're going to reference? What bizarre wrestling term is going to come up? Like all these things that have become the trademarks of the two of us on this show. And then so at some point then we realize, that's good. Like there's sort of a mutual, there's never like nothing gets edited out of like, that's where the end is, Rob. Like basically we just get a feeling and then we do a closing. So like why are closings weird? Why are they cheesy? Well, and why do we do them? Why are you still telling me to go Instagram? Why are you still sending us to your merch store? Well, this isn't our show. Like basically there were things that we inherited as part of the show, and one of the things is when you finish an episode, you need to talk about one of the things that comes back to the next reel. And so like we are like, essentially contractually obligated to talk about it in a nice way. I mean, but
no, like, dude, this is like said, part of what this is about.
There are certain things that they said, they have no say over like the middle part. They're like, you're not going to talk about the Marvel stuff. We're not worried about that. We know you're going to do that part. But at the end, you have to do these things. And so they basically have given us a list of what things we have to talk about. But what we think is because Rob and I also are not big fans of commercials. So what we did is we've established a game between the two of us that we have a list of these 5 things. We don't know what order they're going to go into, but we try and find the weirdest possible random connection to take us into a commercial of one of those things. All that stuff is unplanned. The only planning that might happen is we'll get to the end of discussing the movie and I'll say, in the meantime, and I'll completely go blank. And I just go like, I don't have a clue where we go. And so Rob will be like, what do you got? Where are we talking about? I'm like, it's Discord. Can you figure out a way to get Discord? And they're like, yeah, okay, I got it. And then
pivot.
So that's the only part that ever gets edited out is when I completely go blank.
There's been a few times. There's a couple of other things we've edited out because it just it went to the darker regions.
Yeah, that's right. Stuff that we could get fired if you actually heard. Because this like we said, we also try and keep it PG-13-ish, I guess. Like probably try and keep to the same level of the movie that we're talking about. So obviously, if this was Zack Snyder's Justice League, we'd have a different level of conversation because we can get R-rated. So we try and keep it to the same level. But anyway, so at the end, so it's basically we have this list and we have to do one of them. So we're like, okay, what are we get to merch? What connects to merch? He's in a new suit. Okay, new suit. So as Iron Man got a new suit, if you'd like a new suit, you should look at our merch store. Like that, those kind of things. Like it's a game that we play, just basically to keep ourselves amused. Like we could have scripted all of it out and just read one of the things, but instead, we decided to just like let's throw to one of the things at random, whatever we can think of in the moment.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a fun thing for us. So it's just because as I'm talking about this, I know one of those is coming, and I have not thought of what it's going to be yet. So I know when we get done talking about our behind the scenes things, I'm going to have to throw to one of those things. So in the back of my head, I'm already trying to like find a segue. Like, how am I going to connect what I'm saying to one of these 5 things that we have to do? So it's once again something else to keep us excited, to keep us energized, to keep us moving through this whole thing. And then when it gets to the end, obviously, as you can tell, post that. The actual throwing to it, I only figured out how to do that at the end, like the last 20 some episodes of the show. I was like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about in the next episode. I should just tease that. Like, why did it take me so long to think? I
know we thought about that. Like, wait, why?
Yeah, the clumsiest part of the Marvel Movie Minute that we do is that last minute where we're like post commercial, so we assume the people have already tuned out,
right? And
then it's like teasing the next episode, saying subscribe, like what do we have to do? It's like bye. And so the final closing. So Nuff Said. Nuff Said is something that comes directly from Marvel Comics. It is actually a phrase that Stan Lee used to put at the end of his thing. So in the kind of when Stan Lee was still the editor-in-chief running Marvel Comics, he had something called Stan's Soapbox. So he would, in every Marvel comic that came out that month, there would be a little block of text that was a message from Stan to you. Like he was basically just talking about whatever was happening in Marvel at the time. Like basically it was a little message to let you know, and it was one of the ways they personalized Marvel Comics. It's one of the reasons that they had a different feel than DC, is because you knew it was just a bunch of yahoos in New York doing this. It's the same thing of like Mad Magazine, when you knew that there was just like this insane collection of people putting this weird stuff together. It was a way of saying, yeah, I'm just a guy. Like I'm telling superhero stories. Like, you know, I'm just. And so he would do that. And at the end of a lot of the Stan Soapbox, that's what he would say. Like that was his sign off thing. So I say enough said, not only because of the Marvel thing, but also to honor Stan, like as a sort of like a last little connection. It is sort of like Marvel secret code to a little bit, but it's also like a fun way of just like throwing it in there of just like, and we're out. It's you know, like what is it? Jesse Thorne says, all great podcasters have a catchphrase, and that's his catchphrase. So like I basically wanted to have one so I could have that put in there. So I say I take no credit for it. Like I'm doing it full on homage. I'm not saying that is my thing. I'm not copywriting it. I'm not trying to be like, I don't know, Paris Hilton, where like she's trying to copyright That's Hot. Like, no, I didn't invent Enough Said.
She tried to copyright That's Hot.
Copyright That's Hot. Like that was her thing. Like to trademark it, so no one else could ever say That's Hot without writing her a check. I am not trying to do that with Enough Said. I am full on saying right here in front of Rob and everyone, that is my shout out to Stan Lee for all the hard work that he did. So that is, when you hear that, that is my tribute to him. And awesome. Then Rob just says,
bye.
Right.
And I only do that because I like to sometimes pull out my trailer voice.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep it short because like that's it. You've ended it, and it's just like, you know, bye. And then we usually in season 2 we had the nice Hulk roar in our friends over at premiumbeat.com. I have been a reliable customer of theirs for over 10 years. And I always find their stuff to be awesome. This is a non-numerated plug of any kind.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just a customer. I'm a paying customer. I like their stuff.
And if you're listening to this, I can't believe someone would just jump into episode 119. But if you listen all the way, all that dun 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 dun, like all that stuff, that was a existing piece of music that we found, and that it seemed very Iron Man to us.
Yeah, totally.
And so just bought it. So it's like it's legitimate. Like they did the hard work.
Well, because we are professionals,
right? We are. This is as much as this episode has shown you we're not.
We have a workflow,
right? Exactly.
We use tools. I mean,
so let's see. Okay, let's talk about that then. Let's get a little nerdy then as we're sort of coming down to the end. How do we make the show? Well, we use something called StreamYard. So StreamYard is a really cool, like Zoom, but it's almost designed for really cool presentations. We just don't happen to use it for cool video presentations. We do it so we can look at each other while we're recording, and then it also is recording audio at the same time. So we each record our audio on our own, but StreamYard is also listening and recording all of our audio together. So if StreamYard is working the way it's supposed to, and most of the time it is, we can get
nothing is perfect.
Yes, exactly. We can get and obviously whatever the internet's doing that day.
Sure.
We can get a nice pre-mixed audio that we can easily then just go in and then chop up and take out the little, I mean, as you've been listening to the show, we don't take out all the ums and ahs and so and like and
it just happens. This is who we are. We're having a conversation.
Yeah. In my head, I speak much better than what I hear back when I listen to the show.
Well, we have like run-on sentence. It happens. That's fine. You like our voices. If you like what we say, you're cool. Right. Now, we should know that was the pandemic world.
Yes.
That we've used StreamYard, and we like StreamYard a lot. I mean, it comes in handy. The other day we did another show that was able to help us out when we couldn't be in the same room.
Yep.
We originally started this a long time ago. God, it really seems like a long time ago.
Like
Season 2, together in the room.
Yep.
We had to make the transition. We will make the transition back to future things that we do.
Yep.
Obviously, it works.
Yep.
It is great. Thank goodness for all this technology. We do really love being in the same room.
Yes.
Like actually,
it is a different feel. Yeah,
it just is, right?
But we try and do what we can, but we would prefer to do it in person too when health and safety allows it.
Exactly.
We actually record 5 episodes at a time. So when you hear a week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we recorded the Monday one first, and we recorded the Friday one last. So that's why the Friday episodes are always a little punchier, because we've been recording for like 3 hours at that point. Because as you're hearing a 15-minute episode, well, every 15-minute episode is actually a 25-minute episode. And so, and every 30-minute episode is a 45-minute episode because of the little bits and stuff that we have to cut out because we went up or something crashed or notes went away or whatever it is. Or like suddenly Rob will say, oh, what about that guy in the background? I'm like, oh, I forgot about that guy in the background. I'll have to stop and I'll have to go on and do some quick research and pull stuff up. That's happened every once in a while. But for the most part, that is pretty rare. What you hear is pretty much what happens. It's only rarely do we actually do a lot of it. So there's not a lot of editing that happens afterwards. Like it usually is. We usually record maybe only a couple minutes after. So I'm sort of over exaggerating because we try and keep it to about 30 minutes. So like when we get to 15, 20 minutes, we start going, yeah, I think that's good. Like I think we've done it. If it's like a packed thing with a bunch of stuff happening, that's easy. When it's just two people having a conversation, we have to do a lot more what we call tap dancing, where it's like I have to find something interesting to talk about in the times. Every movie has its ups and downs and its lulls and its exciting things. So we do 5 in a row. So we record one, pause, go back in. When you hear me doing the intro, I'm doing the intro every single time. That is not pre-recorded. So Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute. I do that live. It's memorized now. The hardest thing for me in season 3 was not doing the one from season 2 because I had done it 120 times or whatever. So to go, welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, where we smash a part that now it's completely erased. But I literally had to read it for the first, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 episodes because I kept wanting to do the Hulk thing, and so now the other one is on there. So in the future I'll have to wipe and go back around the way. And I also tend to trail off if you hadn't that way. So then once we record those, and obviously if you've been listening to them as they come out, you know that there's a little time lag that happened there. That I did not intend to be talking about the year that we were in as much as I realized as I was listening back. I was like, oh wow, I really talked about that a lot. The original plan was that it was going to be released much sooner to when we recorded it.
Yes.
But life happened, and there was the recording was going fine, but the post-production stuff, we got backed up. So there was it started building up, and so there was a lag. We don't have to get deep into it.
Let's get deep into it. It's me, and let me just say this. Let's give a definitive shout out to the venerable Andy and Pete.
Yes.
For picking up the pieces and doing it. The editing can be done. I mean, here's I think, this gets into the editing of it, like the actual post.
Yeah.
I find myself, and especially in season 2 I was finding myself taking 2 hours editing every episode.
Wow.
And you can't.
It's 5 episodes a week.
And 5 episodes a week, and you can't do that. Like I mean, again, that we are doing this. This is not enumerated. We have jobs and lives.
We have jobs and
we have wives and children and stuff. So it got. I will say that it can be overwhelming, and it's. If you've already gotten this from listening to this is a labor of love.
Yes.
Because it is not just you have to love the movie, you got to take the time to do the research. The research is the foundation to all of this.
Yes.
You got to then do the recording, and that actually that's an effort. And then you get into the editing, and then you get into, the follow-up and all these other things. So, yeah, Andy and Pete.
Yeah,
I love you. I love you guys.
They stepped up and started going, and then once they started, basically just slashing through all of the audio and asides and weirdness and things, and that's when it started moving again. So I don't even remember what the number is, but I would say we were in the 60s or 70s.
Oh yeah,
and we had recorded all of them, and the first one hadn't even aired yet.
Yeah.
So we were say by the time you hear this, it's 3 or 4 months.
Oh,
I haven't even looked at the calendar.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember at one point, and I was listening because I listened to the show. This is the thing that a lot of people don't. When the show drops, I listen to it. So I try and listen to all of the episodes before our Sunday broadcast,
right.
When we do I actually try to, because I also enjoy it, and because it's been so long, because it's been 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is.
Is it new to you?
It's new to me, and I still laugh at the same stuff. So I'll find myself laughing on the show and laughing in the car at the same time because
that's
I'm
awesome.
like, oh yeah, because I totally forgot what it is. So I am also a fan of the show that we are making, but because I also don't know what the edit's going to be. Not only have I forgotten what we talked about,
me too.
I don't know what's going to be in and what's going to be out.
Right.
So it's like it comes across, and obviously having the bumpers, having the music at the start, it like makes it seem more regal and official than when it just seems like the two of us on a Zoom call just yakking at each other.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So I did not attend. Like I remember listening back. And I was saying, and like by the time you're hearing this, you're probably enjoying Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I was like, oh no, actually, we're just wrapping up Loki. I was like, that's not bad. Like it's not bad. Like
that's not bad.
I was doing it in a couple weeks, because I even as it's summer 2021, and I'm hearing myself saying like, oh, here we are in 2020, 10-year anniversary. I'm like, oh man, I really why did I talk about the year so much?
And I will say that's something that we both, I know our next real overlords probably grimace at those things because then it's what I mean. It's timely, and yes, we know we apologize.
We apologize. It's one of those things that just comes out. You never know
happens. You're excited because we're so excited about everything.
And exactly, if you just watched an episode of WandaVision and you want to talk about it, and
yes,
not knowing that people are going to be listening to this in a post Eternals world or whatever it is, it's
true.
It's a weird time shift you have to think in your head of like people are looking back at this movie, listening to us, but then also where they are in their life and where we are. It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So
now we've come to the part after a little pause about how do we make the pivot, Kyle?
Right, exactly.
What are we trying to promote? What is it?
So let's see. We have I don't even remember what we talked about Discord last time.
Last minute.
Here you get to hear a little behind the scenes stuff. So we talked about Discord. So we still have, but I did not annotate earlier in the week what other ones we had talked about.
And that was in the break.
Yeah. So my thing would, if we could probably try and ask for reviews, this would be a good time, I think, for this, because say all the hard work we had done.
Yeah, but hold on.
You want to do it? Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm patting myself on the back right there. Hey, listen, here's the deal. We've given you our sweat, our blood, and our tears. We have done this for a long time. We've done it. We've gotten you through the pandemic, and it's not over yet. Just hang in there. And I hope one day someone listens to this and goes, what is he talking about? Like, okay? So here's the deal. Go ahead. Go to your podcatcher of choice and just give us a review. Yes, we're going to ask for 5 stars. Is it for Spar? Maybe. Yes. If you're a season 2 fan, sure. Is it for whatever? Just 5 stars. We would appreciate that. It would be an acknowledgement of our love for you, the audience, because that's why we do this. We do it for you. We love each other, and we love hearing each other's voice. Yes. But second or third, and actually that would be third. You are up there.
Yes,
you're up there.
You're easily in top 5. I gotta say.
Top 5.
I mean, top 5 is pretty good.
That's because 5 stars. Top 5.
5 stars. Top 5.
Leave us a review,
and you can even just say top 5.
Hey, you know what though? Here's another reason.
What?
I think fun stuff is coming up. If you say to yourself, okay, that's it, I've had enough. No.
You're like, man, these guys spent a whole episode talking about themselves.
Okay, chill, because amazing stuff is coming.
Yeah, I mean, because if you listen to Marvel Movie Minute Season 2, Incredible Hulk, which you haven't, you should go back and listen to it.
Absolutely.
We actually got somebody from the movie. We actually got Terry Notary.
Oh, that's right,
who played the Hulk.
Yeah,
actually, someone who was in the actual movie, like even motion capture
in the movie.
But he played the Hulk, and he played the Abomination. Like he did. We actually got to talk to him because it's one of those weird pandemic things. It was because everyone was at home, and so we managed to work our way through the channels and do that. And here it is in our Iron Man 2. Like here we are in Marvel Movie Minute Season 3. We're in Iron Man 2, which is a much bigger movie, with much bigger stars.
Huge.
So, I mean, like the odds that we actually could talk to somebody who even minorly worked on the movie.
Oh no!
Here, as people are going back to work, we're sort of in
they're busy.
The ending days of the pandemic. There's no way There's no way, Rob. There's no way we could find someone who actually worked on Iron Man.
No, I mean we're not.
We're a tiny little podcast.
And for a tiny little podcast, not just worked. I mean, like is in the movie, like screen time, potentially like which you could all consider to be a major character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
how could we?
I mean, there's no way we could get somebody with like that. You would just hear their name.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd know who they were. I love Terry Notary, but I have to usually explain to people a little bit.
which
like
is a
who he
shame,
is.
but yes, but
and
it's
every
true.
time you do, everybody goes, "Oh, of course, you know that guy." But I mean, like, there's no way we could get somebody with like name recognition, like poster level. Like, we're just a tiny little show, right? There's no way.
I think we did.
Did we?
Maybe.
I think you're probably going to have to tune into minute 120 to find out if that's
think
true.
So.
Or are we just trying to get you to stay subscribed?
Or are we full of it? But you got to check it out.
Either way, I think 120 is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
You probably don't want to miss it.
No.
So we're going to be there. Hope you are too. Enough said.
Bye.